Without further ado, I think it's time to get started on the 2025 Mass tutorial. My name is Claude. I have a 636 in this game, which is a pretty decent time with the strats known. My goal is to try and get all the information out there and hopefully help you, the viewer, achieve similar such times or a sub 7 or just complete a no reset or whatever your goals may be. It'll be a pretty thorough tutorial. We'll be covering everything from just the basics of the game to some of the more advanced strats. So even if you know nothing about the game, should be pretty useful. Alright, so first thing to start with is the options menu, right? Yeah, that's right. I have a start button bound to not start. The mass. Alright, so you can change your controls here if you so wish. I recommend the default controls, honestly. We'll get more in detail of that in the actual game, but they're here if you want them. Don't worry about this. I think the only difference between skill levels is just how many lives you have or something like that. I watched some developer thing and they said the skill level basically doesn't matter, so just keep it on normal. Hopefully turning off the music and sound effects doesn't save any time because I've never done that, so don't mess with that. And another thing worth mentioning too is there is a cheat menu in this game. Let me open that up, make sure I don't misspeak what it is. Alright, the cheat menu is A, B, X, Y, L, R, L, A, B. You can find this on GameFAQs. And cheat menu is pretty good. If you don't have access to console save states or something, it can be useful because it has level select. To use this, you just turn on and then you hit select on the world map to choose different levels. And you can set various options here as well. I do recommend using this as it is a useful tool when first learning. Alright. If you have trouble inputting the code, it like locks you out of it too, so you have to like reset the console. Just want to cover that. And yeah, what else to say before we really get started here? Nothing really. So go ahead and get started. Timing starts on the first frame that fades. So like right here, basically this as soon as you press start is when timing begins for this game. Alright, this is the world map. Again, if you have the cheat menu enabled, you press select to choose various levels. You do have to mash start in order to go to the next level. You can't buffer it or anything, unfortunately. So yeah, go ahead and mash through. Every time you see the overworld like that, gotta do that. Okay. A few things about the run itself too before we really get started here. Oh yeah, let me start this too. That should have already been highlighted. This game, as far as I'm aware, has no RNG, no random elements whatsoever. It also doesn't have any like frame rule stuff, no global timers or anything, so it's a pretty honest run. Enemies will just behave the same way every time depending on your own movement. There's some stuff where it's really hard to have like precise movements, and it'll be like pseudo RNG because it's just hard to move the same way every time, but it's very minor stuff, so it's a pretty honest speedrun. And yeah, enemies just they spawn like when you're kind of close to them, things like that. So as long as you do the same thing every time, you'll get the same results every time, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, before we actually get started with the actual levels, I want to cover a lot of the basic mechanics, as well as the attacks and things like that. So we're going to do that over here. Alright, so your movement mechanics. You have the basic walk here. I'll put this here. Just left and right. You have the kind of faster run. You just do this by pressing or holding R. And then you have the very fast run, the zip, just by holding L and R at the same time. This one consumes mass points, as you can see in the bottom left. But if you attack while holding down this, So you can see here, it doesn't consume mass points. And you might think, oh, this is probably slower or whatever, right? But no, it's actually the same speed. It's just doing this. It's probably just a developer oversight. There's really no reason to ever not be punching while doing the zip, because most of the time you're going to want to conserve mass points. There's some situations in which it won't matter, but just, yeah, keep that in mind. There's like, as far as I can tell, there's no frame difference whatsoever between just doing this and doing this. There's also the slide, which is done by pressing down while doing either a run or a zip. The slide saves a few frames over a zip or a punch run, but it's not very much. It's like maybe 1 or 2 frames, maybe 3 max, for instance. But if you're able to do a slide and you don't care about spending mass points, this also spends mass points, as you can see in the bottom left. Just do that. And there's also the creep, which is where you just press L. This looks pretty useless, but it can be used to manipulate some bosses. And then there's also the tornado, which is used for movement. And the tornado is good because it allows you to move forward without having to press forward on the D-pad, which can be useful for entering vents, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Something I also didn't mention, other than just the basic movement, is like the actual, like, very basic game mechanic stuff. In the upper left, you have your life count. That doesn't really matter. You should never lose a life in this game. Below that is your HP total. You're probably never going to die in this run, other than like maybe your very first few runs, so you don't really have to worry about your life situation either. And then in the bottom left, as I've already talked about, is your mass points. The mass points let you do pretty much everything awesome in this game, and it's a very important resource. And you can recover your mass points by picking up the mass tokens, which look like this. Each one of these gives you 50 mass points. And your max mass points increase depending on the number of dogs, Milos you acquire throughout the run. This route will cover just the route I do, the 2-dog route. But there's also a 4-dog route, which I guess I'll briefly touch upon. And the upper right is the amount of money you have, which is completely useless as far as I'm aware. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we covered base move mechanics and stuff like that. Next I want to cover the jumps. There is the normal jump. There's a bunch of different gradients for your jump, depending on how long you press the B button. There is the high jump, which is you hold L and R, and press the jump button, and up as well. Oh no, it's just up, that's right. But you want to hold L and R if you want to get some good speed while high jumping. So yeah, just up, and B for a high jump, which consumes 10 mass points per jump. And also, if you jump from a large height, you will splat, which is slow and bad. In order to avoid that, you want to use this hammer, which I'm going to talk more about in just a very little bit, in order to prevent it. Keep that in mind when jumping. Alright. One other thing I want to cover before I get to the actual attacks is vents. Vents look pretty different in this game, but they take you from place to place, as you might imagine. Sometimes they look like this, sometimes they look like that. Something to keep in mind with vents, and this is going to be pretty frustrating throughout your mass journey, but it's very important, is that you can only enter vents by holding up and only up. If you try and enter a vent by holding up left or up right, as you can kind of see me try and do, it will not work. You must be pressing only up, which means, yeah, there's a lot of situations in which maybe you'll be moving forward or whatever, and you try and press up and it doesn't go in. This is again why the tornado is useful, because you can just activate the tornado and just hold up and will automatically enter it. Keep that in mind, situations in which you want to enter vents quickly. But there's going to be a lot of vents in this run. Every single level in this run has vents, so you gotta be pretty good at using them. Also, depending on which direction you are facing when you enter a vent, it will change the camera as well. Sometimes it's faster to enter a vent facing right, sometimes it's faster to enter a vent facing left. For the most part, it doesn't really matter too much, and usually going out of your way to change your direction on facing is not worth it, but there are a few situations in which it's completely free, and it saves a few frames, and I'll point them out as we get to them. All right, and now finally the attacks. And to show off the attacks, I'm gonna be going over here. For this enemy, this is like a mini boss. I call this Crane 1. You can see its HP in the bottom left. It's the first value. Right now it has 100 HP. And I'll be showing off how much different damage all the attacks do and things like that. So your first attack is just the regular boxing glove. Doesn't consume any mass points. This one does 1 damage. It's kind of hard to hit this guy with a regular boxing glove. If you see the POW there, it means you actually hit the enemy. Just 1 damage with this. There is, if you mash the punch glove and get repeated hits, you get this like little uppercut thing, right? This uppercut does 4 damage. As you can see here. You got me. So keep that in mind. This will be useful on just one boss, pretty much, the uppercut variant. Again, there's the running punch, which you saw for the movement section. The running punch does 2 damage. That's just obviously just running, holding a R or a zip, and attacking. There is the slide, which is, again, was covered in the movement section. You're just running and then you hold down. This one does 3 damage. This will pretty much never be used for damage, except maybe as a backup on the final boss. But do keep it in mind. There is the hammer, which is a very useful tool, done by pressing the X button. Hammer does 8 damage. Very fast, and can also be used in the air. This is the only attack that can be used in the air, other than unless you're doing some very tricky stuff with like a jump and gun. It's about to show off very soon. But for the most part, the hammer is the only thing that can be used in the air. There's the tornado. Again, the tornado does 3 damage each time the POW hits an enemy. This will also never really be used for damage. But do keep in mind it does something at least. And then finally, well, not finally, but most importantly, there is the gun. The gun is going to be your main damage source for every single boss. The gun does an impressive 32 damage, but the gun also has the capacity to double hit. And this varies by boss, but I'll just show it here. If you're in like the center of this boss, you can see it does, it doesn't do quite double damage, but essentially double damage. This will be used on this boss right here. It'll be used on the second to last boss and the final boss. I don't think you can double hit every single boss unless you're the TAS in some situations. So to keep that in mind. And then finally, the most useless thing is the horn. It's up and X. The horn will never be used in this route. It'll be used for an old strat I'll show off. But this will, will never be used for damage. It has, it's mostly used as a stun, but you just want an actual DPS in this run. You don't really want stuns or anything like that. And that covers every single attack. How much damage the horn actually does varies by enemy, I think, but yeah, you don't gotta worry about it. Alright, that is all the attacks. Let's go back here. A few other miscellaneous movement things to keep in mind is that you cannot attack while next to a wall. So if you try and use the hammer or the gun, it just doesn't come out. Or the horn, well, if you're facing this way, the horn doesn't come out. So you must be positioned away from the wall in order to properly use all the attacks. Otherwise it just doesn't come out. This can sometimes be used to your advantage, which is if you're about to wall splat like this, or floor splat. So show it off here, I guess. Let's get a better spot. Right there. So if you're about to splat, you can use the hammer against the wall. It will cancel your splat without consuming mass points. That's very important to keep in mind. You can just spam it if you want, doesn't matter. Another thing to keep in mind is tornado jumps. So This will not really come up too often, but you can sometimes use the tornado. This will mostly be applicable level 1 to do something or engage with an enemy, and you can immediately jump out of it while moving forward. And you can also, like, if you're holding up, get a higher jump. That's a good technique to keep in mind. What else to talk about? Oh yeah, going back to the guns. There's a few different ways you can cancel the gun. So you just use the gun here. You can see the Mask has to put away his guns, right? But if you are buffering anything, or you just press something after, he cancels the animations of the guns. It's kind of subtle, right? You can see here he goes straight into the crouch animation if you're holding down. If you're holding right, he just goes right into the walk animation. You can even cancel with like a glove. Pretty much anything can be canceled. You can use to cancel the gun, the hammer, things like that. And there'll be a lot of situations in which you're using the guns in which you want to cancel the animation of the gun. Okay. And then what else to talk about? When you're falling, and this will just be like a case-by-case basis. Like, let's say you're trying to move to the next area. It'd be easier to show off in like a corridor or something. Let me go to level 2 real quick. Good place to show it off. This is kind of the case in a lot of other platformers, but let's say just for this circumstance right here, you want to go to the right. You could just be holding against the wall and do something like this, but it'll be faster to go left and then go right in a lot of situations, or in this particular case, which we'll get to later, you want to already be holding right, so that way you're already moving at a higher speed going into the next area. So just keep that in mind as like a general movement thing, because it will save a few frames. Gotta just holding up against the wall, because you want to already be moving at full speed. Kind of something like that without bonking. Something like that. And what else? Another big thing about movement tech in this game is not over jumping. Let's just say on these ledges, for example. It's pretty obvious, but you want to only jump to the correct height you really need, right? You don't want to be like this, and you have to spend time landing, and you want to press the jump button as soon as possible to re-jump. Yeah, it's pretty standard stuff, but it's worth mentioning, because a lot of the like frame savers in this game are just about how fast you can re-jump and things like that, so try not to over-jump, and try and just re-jump as soon as possible. And yeah, that's basically it for all the movement stuff, I believe. Yeah. Anything else to mention? All your HP and mass points are refreshed every time you beat a new level. So you don't have to worry about anything carrying over, things like that. And yeah, I think that's it for basic mechanics and stuff. So let us move on to the level-by-level analysis. If you just keep all the mechanics I kept in mind, though, you really won't really even need a level-by-level analysis. Just watch the tape and you're good to go at this point. But okay, let us move on to the very first level. Mass start here. All right. Yeah, this first level, let's hit the split here. Right. Level 1, Stanley's apartment. So first thing you want to do, there's a hole over here. Like I mentioned with the left right, it's faster to jump into the hole and then go to the left compared to doing something like this. Just saves a few frames. One thing worth mentioning too is at the start of every level you can buffer an action, whatever action you so choose, but it's almost always going to be a jump. So you can see me holding L, R, right, and B here in order to try and jump into the hole on the very first possible frame. So do that when first starting out. And then you want to be going over here to the left. You're going to want to be punching while heading to the left again, because there's no reason to do the normal zip. If you're not punching, these guys will probably attack you, depending on how you actually entered here. Not guaranteed, depending on your own movement, but there's no reason not to punch to get them out of the way. What I like to do is I like to do one punch, and then I like to do a slide just to save a few frames. And you're gonna get to this window. There's a few different ways to break open the window. You can punch it, or what I like to do is I like to use the tornado and do a tornado jump through it. Because again, it moves you forward and it breaks open the window. Yeah, let's do a tornado jump through, if possible. And then you're gonna get over here to this next hole. This is kind of hard. The optimal strat you do here is you want to just like tap left and land on this little platform here. A slower strat is to go like down like that, but it loses like maybe a half second or so, so don't want to do it like that. One thing worth mentioning is that level 1 probably has the hardest movement out of any stage in the entire game. So if you have trouble going quickly on this stage, it will get easier. So yeah, don't worry too much about optimizing level 1 first. Yeah, want to do something like this. And then you want to do either a normal jump or a high jump. Get over here. High jump's a little bit safer, but it's a little bit slower. Loses just a few frames. Let that cat go. These enemies will never actually attack you. They're only attacking me because I'm like sitting around. So yeah, jump over here. If you do fall down here, just jump back up here. There's a crack in the floor here. You must use the hammer to break it. You can break it from either the left or the right side. Left side's a little bit safer because you can line yourself up against the wall, but it just loses, I think it was like 10, 15 frames compared to something like this. So do whichever you feel comfortable with. Again, right side's a little bit faster, just a little bit harder. Tricky. So waiting down for you below is a clock. You kind of have to be holding right. Or you can try and do a left-right. A left-right here is kind of tricky because usually the clock will get you. So I just hold right here and give up the frames. Not get beamed by this thing. You can do whichever you feel comfortable with. And then there's another crack in the floor. You must use the hammer. This one I just smash from the left because you can't really line yourself up from the right, right? It doesn't really work. So do your best to time that. Mask obviously moves very fast in this game, so it can be hard to get the timing for a lot of stuff down. Alright, and then there's a guy down here. This guy is pretty annoying. Sometimes he's just gonna get you, because it depends on how exactly you fall down here. Ideally, you want to do a left-right or a right-left in this situation to avoid him, to have enough speed to not get hit by him. If you do get hit, it's not a huge deal, because you will be moving forward. But this is a little bit faster to not get hit. Yeah, if he hits you, don't be surprised. Alright, and this is the very first event in the run. Again, you must just hold up only. Do something like that. And this next section is deceptively difficult. You're going to want to use the hammer to cancel the splat here. the strat I do is I just hold left and then I press against the wall. There's a vent here, you hold up. But as far as I'm aware, this technique is 1 frame to do the optimal strategy, which is, I actually have a movie of it. Show it. Go left, cancel, and you go straight to the right without bonking. Straight into the vent. This saves a significant amount of time. I think it's like 20 plus frames, maybe 20, 25 frames, but as far as I'm aware, yeah, it is 1 frame. I have not found a way to make it not 1 frame. Let's see, you're using the hammer here, right? Frame advance. Checking every last possible frame. None of these work. We're almost there. Right there. That one right there. So 26:43 gets you in there. And we advance 1 more frame after that, 26:44, and you bonk this ledge. So if you're really nice at this 1 frame, you can go for it. But I didn't really bother with it. You can try an option select it too, or if you're just too late, you can go for it and then just jump. Maybe do the same inputs every time. Maybe the jump won't come out. Do 1 strategy. Yeah, just keep all that in mind. As far as I'm aware, yeah, it's 1 frame. I didn't find a way to make it not 1 frame. All right, next up is Bowling Guy. This will be the first mini boss of the run. A few different strats for this guy. Show you the easiest strat first. You want to do either a punch or a tornado jump. I like the tornado jump. One thing worth mentioning too in level 1 is that mass point management, while it's very important in most of the run, it doesn't really matter at all in level 1 unless you're making a lot of mistakes. So you can just do whatever strategy you want anywhere, and you'll always have enough mass points to complete the stage. So safest strat is to like go over here, use the guns. After you beat up Bowling Guy, you're going to want to head through this window. So if you use the guns on the right, the guns will blow open the window, so you can save time by not having to open it. So something like that's pretty good. The guns, I didn't mention exactly how they work, but they're like an AoE attack. As long as the enemy is anywhere on screen, the guns will damage him. It doesn't even have to be on screen, like he was off screen there, right? And the guns still hit him. So they have an absolutely enormous hitbox. It's the same way with the horn as well, but again, the horn will never be used. Yeah, if you're too far away from the window, it won't break open the window. Keep that in mind. But the optimal strat is to do what the TAS does, which is to use a hammer, use the gun, and then do a running boxing glove to take out the Bowling Guy, which is exactly enough damage to take him out. This saves, I think it's like 0.7 compared to the gun strat. You lose a little bit of time because you do have to break open the window manually. Unless you get very lucky in the boxing glove, while running forward just breaks open the window on the way there, but that happens pretty infrequently. My technique for doing the optimal strat is I do a tornado jump and then I like kind of let go of forward, use the hammer, immediately switch the guns, and then do a running boxing glove. I don't get this every time, but you can, if you like whip the hammer, you can just OS into the guns, do that after. It's a pretty good example here. Make a mistake, don't use the tornado. something like this. It's easy enough backup. Barely lose any time compared to just raw doing the gun strategy. So I recommend going for this. You can see there too, the thing about the guns, right? The guns is pretty much your primary source of attack. The guns are used by pressing up and A, but what might happen to you in some situations is that you're not pressing exactly up and A. If you're holding like up left or up right and A, you get the tornado instead. And so you might accidentally see the tornado used instead of the gun. This will almost certainly happen to you at some point while running this game. And the tornado is just going to be useless and consume mass points. So really trying to get in the habit of properly holding up and only up and pressing the A button to avoid accidentally using tornado. But again, it's probably going to happen to you. Yeah, after you hit bowling guy, break open the window and zip over here. You can either punch this open, but I recommend doing a tornado and jumping against the sill and then going over here to this and punching this window open. You can also do a strategy like this. It's a little bit slower, but a little bit easier. And go into the elevator. Elevator, again, just like vents. Cannot enter by holding up left or up right. Must be up only. There's a clock in your way here, but if you're doing a running punch, maybe you'll take them out. For this next section here, you want to jump. Hold up right and jump immediately. And then switch the D-pad to up in order to enter this next vent. It's kind of easy to overshoot it. That's what happened to me in my PB. Hold up right while holding L and R. Enter the vent. You can also do something like this. You can do a tornado jump in, but it's the same speed as the strat I just showed you. Could be easier. Because again, the tornado is automatically moving you forward. You kind of have to flick the A and B buttons to do a tornado into a jump. That goes for every single tornado jump though. A flicked into the B button. You can also just do this if you want. Slower though. Alright. Then next up, this clock section, you want to be running and punching. You want to jump pretty much as soon as you punch the second clock, because you want to land on the next windowsill as soon as possible. Yeah, this is a high jump, so you're holding up while doing it. You're gonna jump from that windowsill to this windowsill. And then make it into this vent. You can also use the tornado to move yourself forward. Then press up. It's kind of subtle to use the tornado here. But yeah, only use it if you have trouble entering this vent. You can also jump over the clocks, but that's slower again. The idea is just to jump as soon as possible so you land as soon as possible. And then you make it over here. You get a max point refresh here. You only need 240 mass points to fight the boss, or 300 if you're doing a safe strat. And you're almost certainly going to have enough. Just run off and then hold up and final vents. This is the first boss. This first boss is very easy. I call her Grandma. I don't know her actual name. I've never actually watched the movie for this game, by the way. But I don't even have her HP up because she's so simple. The strat that I'm going to be showing off, the optimal strat, is just the strat the TAS does, so there's really probably never going to be anything faster found. I'll go for the safe strat first, though. Safe strat is just use the gun, cancel the animation by holding either right or down. Actually, you're going to want to be holding right for the safe strat, so you can actually get closer to her, otherwise the guns won't hit her. Make sure you attack kind of fast, otherwise you will get shot. while since I've done the strat. Something like that. It's the safest strat. Or we can do the optimal, which is about a second faster, which is you're holding down just the R button here, not the zip, just the normal fast run. Do 2 hammers, and then do 2 guns. And these you can cancel with either pressing right or down. I recommend letting go of the R button after the first hammer, because you don't want to get too close. Otherwise, you're gonna get shot like that. So you want to be kind of a reasonable distance away from her. Just far enough away that the hammer reaches her, but not so close that you get shot by the boss's attack. So yeah. Hold R, hammer. Let go of R. Hammer again, gun. That's it. Level 1 done. Alright, level 2. Mash start button. Okay. Level 2, Streets of Edge. I looked up the names of the other levels in the manual for this game. I recommend looking at the manual, by the way. It's a pretty funny one. So again, these jumps, try to land as soon as possible. And you can also buffer anything you want. I recommend doing a buffered high jump here into a normal jump, into another high jump here, land on this. But there's a lot of different paths you can take in this beginning section. The nice thing about, again, this game, too, is there's no RNG, there's no global cycles, nothing you have to make. So if something is just faster for any individual section, you can just do it, and it's fine. If you see something that's faster than what I do here, feel free to do it. As long as you're able to keep on the mass point routing. I definitely don't think I'm the authority on this game, and I found everything, so just do whatever you want. It's fast. Okay, something like this, and you're going to want to jump over this building. Oh, actually, no. Before we move on to level 2, I forgot. I'm going to go back. I want to show you all of level 1 all in one continuous instance. That's right. And I have my gold segment here. Almost forgot. This. There we go. Before we move on to level 2, this is what a proper level 1 should look like, all in a row. Here I do a high jump at a game, just do a normal jump, probably it's a little bit faster. Okay, you can go for the 1 framer there to save another like 25 or 30 frames. There I get the early window I talked about with the boxing glove. That's gonna happen pretty infrequently. There you go. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention too. What a proper level 1 looks like. One very minor thing I forgot to mention. Let's go back to the boss. Right here. After you defeat a boss in this game, the game lags a little bit. As you can see here, it saves just a few frames to not do anything after a boss. You can move when the game's like not doing this like lag burst thing and it won't lose any time. You can see like right here, just doing nothing. And at 3807, if you're like jumping around doing miscellaneous stuff. Still 38.7. It varies depending on boss, but it's not really a big deal. But I would say try not to move during the lag spurt. Sometimes you lose frames, but not every time. How'd I gain 1 frame there? What the heck? Not real? Mysterious lag frames. Yeah, keep that in mind. Alright, now we can move on to level 2. Okay. So in level 2 as well, the mass point round is going to be kind of important in this one, so try not to waste too much, unlike in level 1. Do a buffer jump here, normal jump, high jump. Jump over this building. There's a few different ways to do this section. You can do something like this, where you kind of hold right. As soon as possible to go underneath this building. If you go too soon, you're going to land on top. You can either hold right to go to the right, or you can do like left right, get some speed. What I like to do though is I just like to hang out over here, because if you try and head over to the right here, sometimes you're going to land on one of these many platforms and splat. And there are a lot of platforms over here that's easy to clip. So I just be over here. Use the hammer at some point to avoid the splat. This way you already have a good speed going to the right. Something like that's pretty good. Jump up here, do a high jump, and then over here you want to do an up left high jump and then shift your direction to up, so you actually enter the vents. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to do. If you're just holding up left, you're not going to go in. You're holding up left to get to the vent. So shift it to up. Here I like to hold up left. This is where holding a diagonal works to your advantage, right? Because you don't want to re-enter. Because you have to do a high jump after this, so you have to hold up. So you're just holding up, you're going to re-enter the vent. But if you're holding up left, you won't enter the vents. So you're able to kind of jump as soon as possible while getting the high jump. Again, try and cut your jumps as short as possible, landing on these platforms. Do another high jump. For my mass point routing, I like to grab this token right here. This isn't absolutely required, but I do think it's a good idea to make another section a little bit faster. So try and land so that you actually grab the token. Something like that. High jump here. And this section's a little bit tricky. There's another mass token I like to get that's like located like around here. But I also recommend grabbing. But again, it's not absolutely required. And then to make it into this event, there's two choices. You can just try and aim your mask and just hold up while landing. This saves about 10-15 frames over the method I made. So something like that's the fastest thing you can do. Again, ideally you're grabbing the mask token as well. What I like to do is I just like to go all the way against the left wall, and then I like to press right and do a tornado while holding up. So again, you're moving forward with the tornado, and then you're able to buffer the entry into the vents by holding up. But do whichever strats you find easiest. Again, this strat's a little bit faster. But it's easy to overshoot. Sometimes you'll get hit by this guy. Let's just do whatever you want. Again, I recommend going against the left wall, pressing tornado, and holding up. For this strat, I like to just hold right while holding L and R. Do do a jump, regular jump, hold up left and shift your direction to up again so you actually enter the vent. If you mess around with this section, it looks easy, but that blue guy up top will probably hit you if you're messing around too much. So in order to avoid that, we'll jump something like this. It's about the same speed as if you just tried to jump directly into the vent. Alright, second mini boss of the run. It's the crane we looked at earlier to show up all the attacks. Again, a few different ways to attack this boss. The safest method, I guess, is just to use one gun while over this part of the crane, the circular black thing. This thing right here. You want to do the gun over this in order to get a double hit, which I showed off earlier. And 2 double hits will take him out. This wrecking ball thing, though, will interrupt your guns. Something like this. Two double hits will take him out. The fastest strat, though, is to do a hammer while landing. Get 1 double hit, and just do 1 normal hit. You can cancel again the guns by doing either buffered right press or buffered down press. I do recommend doing this strategy with the hammer. Although it takes a little bit of getting used to. No reason not to do it, it is faster. You don't have to be directly on the center of this black thing. I would err on being too far left. Like, this should still work to get the double hit. But if you're too far right, like this, it won't work. Try and be in the center, but err on being too far left to get this. Okay. Gonna want to try and cancel the animation of the second gun with a high jump. Get onto this platform. So on these little platforms here are some mass points. You're going to want to have about 240 or so. I think it's just 220 is absolute required mass points to fight the second crane. And then after that, you're gonna get all your mass points back, so it doesn't matter. If you follow the mass token routing I showed earlier, we got the one on the ledge and the one in the annoying area with the blue guy in the vent. You won't need to get any of these mass tokens, which is nice. You can just focus on good movement here, landing on the platforms as soon as possible, and then heading over to the right. But if you're not on mass point routing, you do have to get either 1 or 2 of these. It depends, too, if you use 2 guns for this guy, if you use a hammer and 2 guns. But I do recommend, again, using hammer and 2 guns. So keep all that mass point routing in mind. If you need the tokens, you want to do something like this. Then head to the right. But if you're on the token routing, just do something like this. Just try and land as soon as possible. Don't worry about the tokens. Yeah, 236 is enough here. Alright, so second crane, same way as before. You can either do this, which I don't really recommend. Which is you get 2 double hits. Like that. Or you just do basically the same strat as before. Hammer, double hits, normal hit. He has the same HP as the other crane. I don't have it on screen, but yeah. I do recommend, again, just holding down the R run to make it over here. You try and do a zip, it's a little bit faster, but it's very hard to position your mask. Something like that's fine. So yeah, we're basically out of mass points. Oh, a mechanic I didn't mention is that if you run yourself out of mass points, you will gradually regain mass points up until 50. This is useful in a few spots, actually. But yeah, keep that in mind. You can never actually truly run out of mass points. You'll always have 50 minimum. So you'll always have access to high jump, which is needed to access some areas in the game. Hammer. Basically everything except for the gun, which is unfortunate. If you could regain the gun by just accumulating time, it'd be very useful. But yeah, it's the first time you're actually going to be low on mass points. Alright, head over here, press down and jump to fall through ledges. Not sure if I covered that yet. And you're going to go into the secret area here. There is a vent. Fall down. To the left, hold up. This is going to be your first dog. I believe the dog's name is Milo. The dog is wearing a mask, and this is very important because if you collect the dog, it completely refills your health and all of your mass points, and also increases your max total mass points and health, I guess. But all you really care about is the max total increase to your mass points. Each dog you get gives you 50 extra mass points. Again, the rat will have 2 dogs. The TAS skips all dogs, but I don't think a human will ever be able to skip all dogs. An old rat I'll also be showing off collects 4 dogs. But in this route, you only really need to worry about the dog in level 2, this level, and in level 3. And this is also, again, how you get all your mass points back. When you're entering here, you can actually buffer the hammer. So just hold X, you'll automatically hammer the dog. You press up to re-enter the vents. Remember when I talked about, too, how facing certain ways and entering events saves a few frames? So if you want to save, I think it's like 4 frames. After you're done buffering the hammer, you tap right. It's kind of hard to see, but it shifts the camera over here and saves a few frames. So this is just holding up normally. You can see how the camera looks way different, right? This is as soon as possible the normal way. Lands like right here at 65.55. But if you tap right, press up, there we go. Lands at 6551. 4 frames saved. So do keep that in mind if you want to save 4 whole frames. Okay. Alright, after this, I like to hold up left. Again, if you're just holding up, you'll re-enter the vent, so don't do that. You can do a left-right here. I found it kind of annoying. Again, it only saves a few frames to do that. Just hold right against the wall if you so choose. Again, try and cut the jump as soon as possible, so you're falling as soon as possible. Do a high jump here, normal jump there. And then for this falling section, it's a little bit tricky. Try and show it in more detail. If you just try and enter the vent here, you are going to get hit by this dude. It's not a huge deal, but it does lose a few frames. It is the easiest method, though. Don't have to worry about anything else, but... what I recommend is doing 2 hammers while holding L and R, and then do right, and then do left, and you should avoid getting hit by this dude. The hammers, again, this is just in case you miss the vent, you don't want a wall splat. So you like miss the vent, you can just re-jump here. But the hammers are also for timing. Like if you do 2 hammers, you know you're good to go on the right press here to avoid the guy and make it into the vents. And then now we're into the very first actual trick of the run. This game does not have a lot of tricks at all. It's mostly... the high level of this run is mostly just boss fights and what few tricks are in the run. Which I guess, again, which are mostly related to boss fights. In fact, all the tricks in this run are pretty much related to boss fights. Other than the level skip, but you'll see much later. Anyways, this is animation skip, level 2 boss animation skip. It doesn't really have a name or whatever. So normally you're supposed to go over here, and you get locked into place. Watch the animation of the mask with his eyes bulging, things like that. But what you can do is you can go over here in the upper right, press the hammer at the right time, and it'll cancel the animation. You're able to attack the boss immediately while the boss is just kind of sitting around here. It saves about 3 seconds, and it's a 2-frame window to get this hammer. Games runs at 60 FPS, so it's a little bit precise. But if you get really used to it, it's really not that bad. It really doesn't feel like a 2-frame window. So the way it works is you kind of want to be against the wall, and you want to shift to D-pad left. Like, I'm doing a setup. You can do it without a setup, but it's a lot harder. You can just kind of just like go for it with a fast jump. But I never had much success with this. The hammer just always gets eaten. You don't really get a chance at it. So I'm just going to show my setup here, which is you do, while holding R only, not L and R, you do a high jump into the corner. This will also give you a mass token. You don't only need 500 mass points to beat the boss, but in case you mess up or whatever, it's nice to have this mass token, perhaps. You hold upright, go into the corner, turn around immediately as soon as you're in the corner, I think. Yeah, pretty much. And then as soon as the mass starts descending, you want to press the hammer. Or just mash the hammer, really. Again, it doesn't really matter how many times you use it, because the hammer's not getting used, because it's against the wall, right? Yeah, you're going to want to land right here. I guess I can frame advance to show you exactly what's happening. Yeah, turn around. Press on 79. $80. 81. 82. 83. 83, it worked. 84, it worked. Then 85, it will not work. Yeah, just keep in mind it's a 2-frame window. Skip this. One more time, like that. So you want to land it right here, ideally. Let's say you don't get it, though, right? I'll show the your first learning. You're probably not going to get this. Don't worry about it. Yeah, right here. So, yeah, level 2 boss. The safest way to beat this guy is just to avoid him, use the guns. Do anything you can just to not take damage. If you take damage while using the guns, your mass points will be depleted if you're in the middle of the animation, like that. You can see the 100 mass points were wasted, but I didn't do any damage to the boss. Just do anything you can to avoid having that happen. Again, you have so much HP, you're not gonna actually die. Here my mass points got eaten. To finish him off, you just do something like this. Just punch him down. Okay. You make a mistake or something. Five guns takes them out. The optimal method of the non-animation skip fight, though, to have a movie of, it's something like this. You want to run a little bit here. Use the gun, jump up, use the gun immediately, and then it kind of gets locked into place here. You just kind of juggle him. Okay. I'll show one more time. It's not very thoroughly documented, because again, ideally you're going to get the animation skip. And honestly, the fight where you get the animation skip, the fastest strat, is a lot easier than having to do this backup, so. Just like run over here. Use the guns, jump up Fire immediately. And shoot him down. If you're too far left or too right from this spot, it'll get a little bit hectic. But again, just shoot him down. And if you get your guns interrupt, you can just do running punches or hammers or things like that. Whatever you can just to take him out. All right, but now let me show you the actual optimal strategy. Impossible. There we go. So again, hammer just cancel the splat. In addition to skip the animation, right? You need to do just one hammer kind of close to the end, skip the splat. Gun, gun, tornado. Gun, gun, gun. Okay. It took me a while to find this strat, even though it looks very straightforward. The actual fastest strat is to do nothing but the guns. But I don't recommend this because it's kind of hard to keep him locked into place properly. And also sometimes the game will soft lock. I probably won't be able to show it here. But he'll get like stuck in the air, depending on how you do this. That's the actual fastest fight, but I don't recommend that because it's just a little bit too precise. I recommend just doing gun, gun, tornado, gun, gun, gun. However, it's important that you don't do the third gun too fast, otherwise it won't count. Let me show that. See there in the bottom left, the third gun didn't count, so he still has HP remaining. So you must do a very small delay after the tornado for the third gunshot to count. Because sometimes bosses just don't take damage when they're in the air like that. That's going to come into play for the level 4 boss. So yeah, don't do this. Do this. And you're going to want, again, cancel the guns by pressing either down or left. I find down a little bit easier here. And that's all there is to it. Okay. In some of my older PBs, I did a much different strategy, but this is just objectively the best strat. It's very easy to keep them locked down. You don't actually need the damage from the tornado or anything like that. It's just to keep them stuck in the air. And that's it for level 2. Mash, mash, mash. All right. Moving on. Level 3. Level 3, I'd say, is the easiest level. Also, one of the shortest levels. A few different strats for the opening here. I like to buffer a normal jump onto this thing that bounces you upwards. And then if you try and go too fast here, this window like opens, and you're gonna get hit. So don't jump like immediately. Otherwise you get hit. You want to do a very small delay here onto the window. Just a very, very, very tiny delay to make it up. Over here, go on this vent. You can also like do something like this, I think. A few different routes, but yeah, I'm just gonna cover this one. It's kind of tough to make it onto this platform. I recommend holding L and R, but then like releasing L and R so you don't overshoot it. You can also just hold upright and R to make it onto the ledge. And yeah, I would recommend not holding L and R here, even though it is a little bit faster, because making into that vent right there is kind of precise. You kind of want to have some control over the mass. Land there, go in this vent. Well, that's right. There's two different strats here. I'll show both of them. And I kind of gave up on the other strat. So what you can do is you can enter this vent while facing to the left. And this enemy right here will not be on screen. And it becomes a lot easier to make it over here to the right, which is where you need to go. Because he won't actually shoot you. He's not on screen. This is actually optimal if you're able to enter the vent the correct direction. But I find it kind of hard to shift the mass facing and do something like this, because you might end up undershooting, or you might accidentally enter while facing to the right. It's the normal method. But if you're having trouble with this this section, you don't want to get shot, you can just do it like this. But I recommend just entering like this normally, and doing this strat, which is you're gonna want to jump against the left wall, kind of do like a half circle. Go against the wall holding L and R to the left, and then go to the right. Because if you just try and raw do this, you might get shot. And also, it's kind of easy to bonk, and you're not going to make it over there. Or you might undershoot, not make it over here. But this set makes it pretty free to make it onto this ledge, go to the next area you need to go to. Oh man, I forgot to show the good level 2 as well. Heck. Is there still time? Oh, I'm such a bad tutorial maker. Real quick, even though we're in the middle of level 3, let me show what a good level 2 looks like. Maybe I can fix this in post. Real quick, let me show the good level 2. We'll show the good level 3 for sure when the time comes, no worries. Where is it? Right here. Yeah, this is a good level 2 looks like. This is my my gold segment, I think. Like, you can just watch a tape. It's not too important to actually show the full thing, but just like it for completion's sake. Arf. I'm glad I remembered eventually. Alright, back here. And maybe I'll rearrange things after to put that in the right spot. But probably not. Honestly, knowing me, probably not. Anyways, as long as we showed eventually. Anyways, back to this event, yeah. I just do like a left right here to make it over here. A recommendation. Want to high jump to that awning thing, I guess. I'm not gonna get bounced up. Here you're gonna want to hammer, just in case. You don't have to hammer, because you're gonna be entering a vent over here. But just in case you miss the vents, you want to hammer. Doesn't waste any time. To avoid the wall splat or the floor splat, make it into that vent. And over here you're gonna get hit by a clock. You can punch the clock, but I found it slower. Just take the damage while holding right. High jump, and then you want to land in this like secret vent here. It's kind of precise. You can land a little bit to the left of it, and then kind of inch your way forward, and then press up while falling. By the way, just make your way over here to this vent, and there's another dog. No special tricks with the vents facing after this one. Just hold down X, buffer the input. And you've increased your mass points to 600. This would be the maximum mass points for this route. And then over here, there's also a few different routes. You can just hold right here, get hit by the window. But it's a little bit faster to kind of delay holding right. And then use the hammer close to the ground. And then quickly press down and B to fall through the floor. Do recommend that. And then over here, you can, there's either a punching glove route or there's a slide route. The punching glove route is only faster by like, maybe like 10, 20 frames or something like that. It requires that you don't lose any mass points from the time you get the dog until the time you fight the boss. Because again, the boxing glove makes it so you can move very quickly without consuming mass points. You want to do something like this, pressing up to enter the elevators. It's kind of hard not to overshoot these elevators. See there, I lost some mass points. If you lose some mass points, you have to get the mass tokens over here, which I'll show in a little bit. Do something like this, and you immediately enter the next elevator without getting any mass tokens. Or, if you're okay with getting some tokens and only lose like 10 or 20 frames, you can do a slide route. Do something like this, get the tokens, immediately enter the elevator. Just do whichever one you feel comfortable with. Again, this is a little bit faster. But if you don't intend to actually keep all your mass points until heading into the last elevator, you might want to plan around slides or something like that. Yeah, that's it for that section. Again, entering the elevator doors, it's kind of tricky. Another reason to use the boxing glove strat is that you can kind of like count the number of boxing gloves you do. Like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and then I press up. 1, 2, 3.5, press up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can kind of use that in a few situations where you're counting your boxing gloves in order to know when to press up on the controller to enter either a vent or a door. So that's another advantage to the boxing gloves. If you're doing the slide, you just kind of have to feel it out. Yeah. Get in here some way, and you're already at the boss. I don't even have the boss's HP on the screen because there's no reason to. The only hard thing about this boss is the very first gunshot. You're going to want to mash up an A in order to get the very first gunshot off. You don't really need a really super duper mash or anything. You want to cancel the guns either by pressing down or by pressing right. And then 6 gunshots defeats the boss, and that's it. If you want to play really safe, I guess, you can just duck the first shot, then shoot him. You get hit by this thing, though. If you want to take a small time loss, I guess you can do something like that. You can just do like a reasonable match. You're probably going to get the gunshot out. Doesn't have to be super ridiculous or anything. Nah, that was too slow, though. You can cancel going to the right if you want. Even cancel the boxing glove. For some reason you want to do that. Again, a thing to look out for is accidental tornado. This is why I recommend canceling with down. Because let's say you're going over here to the right, you might like accidentally tornado, and now you're down 1 gunshot. If this happens, it's pretty bad. It's I think it's 2 hammers, and then either a 3rd hammer or like 2 running punches to take him out if a gunshot gets eaten. If 2 gunshots get eaten, I really don't know what to do. It's probably probably the end of your speedrun. But yeah. Anyways, just do this. Not a lot to say. Okay. This time I'm gonna actually show the proper level 3 before I move on. This is not a best segment. This will just be from my PB. My BB has pretty decent stages other than the first two stages. Arf. Not a whole lot to say.
Okay.
Gonna teabag the boss if you want. Always a good time. Alright, that's it for level 3. Level 4. Alright, so with the opening, jump into these tree branches. Again, you want to buffer the jump. Try and land on the tree branch as soon as possible. This one's very easy to overshoot the jumps. Something like this. Lose a few frames. Try and cut the jumps as soon as possible. Do a non-high jump to the next one. You're gonna want to let go to of L? Yeah, L. So you don't overshoot the tree branch. You might do something like this or not make it or whatever. You can just follow the input display if you're having any issues. Land on this branch. You can do a high jump all the way to the next section, but I don't recommend it. Just do something like this. Holding just R and then shift back to L and R. Make it over here. Alright, for this next guy, there's a few different strats. You can either go to the right and then box through them. Something like this. Or the optimal strat, which I like to do, is to do a tornado descent here while holding against the left wall. This will allow you to start moving to the left sooner. It saves like maybe 10 frames or so over doing this. It is important you hold against the wall too. If you don't, sometimes he's gonna get you like that. So hold against the bush here while tornado descending, and then untornado by just repressing A, of course. And then over here, there's a few different things going on. If you're on the 4-dog route, you're going to want to enter this thing. But I really don't recommend the 4-dog route, even if you're just starting out, because it's just pretty much worse in every way. But for completion's sake, I will show it. I'm going to have to load my old PB for this. This one. It's really hard to enter this thing, which is one of the many reasons not to do it. But if you go in here, you can do this, get the dog, and then proceed along your way. But again, I really don't recommend this strat. Show one more time. You kind of have to slow down to enter this garbage can thing. Yeah, if you want the dog, it's right there. But again, I don't recommend this at all. And then the truly optimal strat, you're going over here. Yeah, sometimes this will happen. It doesn't really lose too much time. Is to kind of jump up here in this section. And I have a movie of this as well. Jump through here and then go over here to this next section. But it's pretty precise to actually make it in here. It only saves about a half second from my timing. I didn't do this strategy when I did runs, because it's kind of easy to undershoot, overshoot. Never mind, it's free every time. But you can do this if you want to be truly, truly optimal, save a little bit of time. The strategy I'm going to show is the much safer strat. We go over here, and then go this way. Again, I like to count the boxing gloves. 1, 2, then do a high jump to this tree branch, and try and land on the tree branch as soon as possible. And it's much, much easier and only like a half second at worst slower. Alright. Mass point routing isn't a big deal at all on the stage. You get tons of them, so you don't have to worry about that really. Alright, high jump over here. This is the forest maze. It's a little bit tricky to navigate at first. There's a guy right here. In order to get past this guy, this is gonna seem kind of slow, but it's really the only fast way of doing it. You're gonna have to tornado into him to move him out of the way, and then do a tornado jump out of it. We progress. I like to do a tornado into a hammer, because it just makes it a little bit faster, I think. You fall down here. Now, when I mentioned this game has no RNG, it doesn't, right? But there's some very subtle things in your movement that can cause some like pseudo RNG things to happen. And one of them is there's going to be a second guy in that forest that will sometimes hit you. So I have a movie here. If this happens, if you're doing everything well, you'll kind of get hit forward by this dude, but if you're just a little bit slow, he's gonna kind of interrupt you and you're gonna lose like a half second or so. But like in a best case scenario, if you get the other guy here, the second guy, he just knocks you forward. That's kind of what you're aiming for with this this strategy. I think whether or not he hits you, I think is dependent on how fast you're actually going, or maybe it's how you move the camera or something like that. I never truly solved exactly why he sometimes hits you, but just keep in mind that sometimes that guy is going to hit you. And if you don't do it like that, you're going to lose maybe like a half second, maybe like 0.7 or so. So if I like stop this movie here, I'm not moving perfectly. Yeah, he's just going to hit you. That kind of sucks. Just keep in mind something that can happen. Alright. Normal jump, high jump, tornado and a hammer. Oh, we got the guy in this run, right? But because I was so fast, he just knocked me to the right. Alright. This Geisby thing's a little bit tricky to get at first. I like to let go of L here, just hold R, and then kind of like approach myself into it. Kind of like jump preemptively, then have the geyser boost you up into this little hole in the tree, which is just a vent. You can like try and land on it, I think. Get a really high jump, but I'd say just like ease yourself into the geyser and get boosted up. You don't want to worry about this at all, you just do something like this. But it's a little bit slower. Yeah, that's optimal. Face left, face right, entering this tree hole doesn't really matter. I think one of them saves like maybe 1 or 2 frames, but I forget which one for the facing. You get all your mass points back here. You have a 600 going into the boss. You want to do a little bit of a hop over this section. If you're just holding right here, you get a little bit stuck. So make sure you like hop over this. They're into the level 4 boss, Park Guy. Alright, so Park Guy. For whatever reason, there isn't an animation here. You just skip it by default. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cancel the splat with a hammer onto the boss. And this hammer, for whatever reason, is a double hit. As long as you don't do it too late. Yeah, you can still get his HP in the bottom left. If you do it like super duper late, only do 8 damage, but as long as you do it sufficiently early, it will be double hits. Twice the hammer damage. It's very important you get that double hit. So you're gonna want to like land a little bit to the right and do the hammer kind of early. And this will cause him to jump into the air. If you do it too late, too, he doesn't jump into the air and he gets kind of messed up, so you kind of have to wait for him to jump over to the right. But anyways, do something like this. Run and gun. And then I'll talk about this ending in a little bit, but that's the gist of the opening. Now, you don't want to fire the guns too early for this boss. Like I mentioned for the level 2 boss, for the 3rd hit. If you fire too early, you won't do any damage at all. No, I think you'll do 1 damage. Yeah, there we go. 1 whole damage here. You can see in the bottom left. This is only when you're like shifting him to the right though. Once he's like stuck in the corner, you can fire as soon as possible. Yeah, don't do this. You want to do a very small delay while attacking the boss to the right. Get him stuck in the corner. Yep, I'm messing it up. Don't fire him to the left. You don't want to go that way. There we go. Something like that. And then this ending, you can see here you don't have enough guns just to shoot it one more time, which is unfortunate because I think the last gunshot would take him out. So you want to go. What you want to go do is you want to run yourself into the corner. And remember this this creep move? We're just holding L. This is used to manipulate the boss. If you're holding down the creep move, he's just gonna like walk in place. If you're not doing this, he's gonna jump into the air. It's very odd that it behaves this way, but it's very important you hold L. And you're gonna want to do something like this. Take him out. You kind of want to reverse beat the hammer, which is you cancel the hammer into the boxing glove. You're not actually hitting him with the boxing glove component until the very end. But you want to basically just alternate between a hammer, a creep forward to keep him on the ground, and then a boxing glove, pretty much. You can just use hammers, I suppose. It's a little bit better for timing purposes to use the boxing glove, I feel. Again, the most important thing is that you're squeezing in creeps, these slow walks, in order to manipulate them, because if you just do like this, he's gonna jump in the air, it's really annoying. Or if you're going too fast on the hammers, he's just gonna jump up. Sometimes he fires into the corner, do be aware of that. I think it just depends on how, what the heck is this? What was that? That's crazy. Just to be aware, yeah, if you do the hammers too fast, it's gonna do this, so. It's just the act of doing this slow walk that manipulates them. You defeat the boss who influences the speed at which the you go to the next stage. So let's say you do something like this. It kind of takes a while for him to land on the ground. Okay. Which is a little bit slower. Also, you don't want to do a running punch, even though you think it's going to be faster. Because again, there's like a small delay for him to reach the ground. The fastest way for him to end the fight is just to simply do 2 punches. Okay. If you mess up or whatever, and you just want some like safe way to fight him, this is very slow, but you will eventually win the fight 1 damage at a time. So if things get really out of control, just want to win, just do this. Okay, you can't go too fast, otherwise you'll break out of it. And that's pretty much it. If he fires in the corner, make sure you react properly. Again, it's just depend on your own movement, I think.
Okay.
That's it for level 4 boss. And level 4 in general. Show the tape. Yeah, this is just from PB. Had a decent level 4 in PB. Not perfect, but... yeah, I do the safer strat where you jump on the right side, bush. I don't get the random guy in the forest that sometimes gets you. I call that guy Gino. Not sure if I mentioned it. He's in the forest maze. Okay, make sure not to fire too quickly here. Once he's in the corner, you can fire as fast as you want. And he's done. Okay. Level 5. Alright, so level 5 probably has the second hardest movement out of any stage in the run. It's either this or level 1 for sure. A lot of nuanced stuff going on here. So to enter this first elevator, you can either just hold right and press up, or you can tornado and hold up. The tornado, I think, just saves like 1 or 2 frames. I find it a little bit easier to do a quick tornado and then press up rather than doing this. But just whatever. Just enter the elevator door, however you want to enter it. There's a thing you have to break here. Recommend just holding L and R. Pressing X pretty much immediately. And you want to do the tornado here to descend, otherwise this guy's going to get you. Sometimes. I think it's mostly if you're far away he gets you, yeah. Just a tornado in here. Mass point routing is, with my route, it's unfortunately pretty tight, so if you find yourself unable to make the threshold, you can consider cutting out maybe some of the tornadoes, but I recommend just doing this and maybe getting some extra mass points at the end. Yeah, tornado down here into the vents. So something worth talking about too, I haven't mentioned it yet, is this only really applies to switches and to the exit to the next stage, which is you can extend the hitbox of the mast depending on which weapon you use. So in order to activate this switch, which takes down this barrier, you can you're supposed to press up, right? Flip the switch. But it's kind of hard to press up because you kind of have to be on the switch. If you're a little bit too far left, too far right, it won't work. And also, much like vents or elevators, if you're holding up right or up left, you won't actually activate it. It must be up and only up. But there's a trick. You can use a weapon to extend your hitbox. So right now I'm just holding up, right? I'm not activating the switch. But if I use the boxing glove, you can extend your hitbox and open the switch like this. And this works for anything, actually. Use the hammer, you use the horn, as you used, you want. Use the hammer. For that, you have to press X and then shift up, because if you're just holding up, you get the horn, right? You can even use the guns to open a switch. Very efficient use of 100 mass points. So what I end up doing for a lot of this is I will just try and box the switch, just to make it a little bit easier. It's technically, it's like frames slower to box the switch compared to just pressing up. But you don't want to like undershoot or overshoot. In this case, it usually be undershoot. Or possibly re-enter. Yeah, I like to box the switch. If you don't need it though, you don't have to use it. You kind of want to do a small high jump as possible, make it in the elevator. It's a little bit tough to do this optimally. If you're too slow here, this guy will get you. It's kind of annoying. Like knock you down, you can be down mass points, so trying to let that happen to you. All right, and then this switch. I'd say this is not this switch. Well, kind of this switch. Let me talk about this switch first. There's a few different ways of doing this switch. The strat I do is to run into the gate and then press up. This is the second fastest method. The slowest method is to simply just walk over here. Activate it. Also do like a boxing glove or something like that. The fastest method, however, is to do a hammer. But I find this very annoying because it's so easy to accidentally re-enter the elevator if you do that. But you want to like use the hammer and then shift to up and then shift to up left. So because if you just are holding up, you'll re-enter the elevator, right? So it's like hammer up, then shift to up left, so you can run over here. But yeah, I just recommend just doing this. And also, again, the mass point routing is kind of tough if you use the hammer here. Yeah, activate the switch however you want. And then we get to this next switch. This next switch is one of the most annoying switches in the entire game. Let me show you the normal strat here first, which is like you jump up, activate it, you're gonna hit this switch and go in this vent. But it's very easy to undershoot, overshoot, and like fall back down. Things like that. It's just so awkwardly positioned. Could do something like this if you really want. Doesn't even open it. Don't do that though. Yeah. The optimal method though is to do something like this, which is to use the hammer. Now the reason this is annoying is you have to be holding up left in order to get the hammer to come out, and then you have to shift to holding up in order to activate the switch. Because if you're just holding up, you're going to get air horn, which doesn't exist. You can see here, just holding up and pressing X, you don't get the hammer, because the game thinks you're trying to use the horn in the air. So you have to be holding up left in order to get the hammer. But again, you can't activate the switch if you're holding up left, right? So it has to be run up left for the hammer, switch to up. I'm getting it fairly often here, but it's pretty easy to mess up. And also, like, properly jumping into this hole is a little bit tricky. I think it's a 6 or 7 frame window to make it up here. If you overshoot, though, just do something like this. If you undershoot, it's kind of bad, though. Like over here, just do something like this, I guess. Or sometimes you'll bonk your head. Yeah, optimally, just do something like this. If you overshoot, just do that. You can do it without using the hammer. I don't recommend it though. Which is just you hold up left and then you kind of switch to up. Like that. If you find that easier, I guess you can go for it, but again, I like using the hammer to extend the hitbox, so it's easy to hit the switch. But again, if you find yourself running out of mass points consistently, it might be a good idea to do that. Can't even do the hammer strat anymore. There we go. Yeah, you want to punch that other switch, or just press up, make it to the vent. Doing that whole section right there, I just shut off quickly is kind of hard. Yeah, moving on. There's a breakable thing here. You can break it from either the right or the left. I think the right saves maybe 1 or 2 frames. I like to break from the left, because it's easier to align. Doing the hammer as soon as possible to break the floor is advised. Don't waste the mass points. Do a high jump here into this vent. And then this vent to vent is a little bit tricky. You want to be holding right and then just shift to up. And if you're holding upright, it won't work. If you fall down, this guy's probably gonna get you. He's kind of annoying. Yeah, right, shift to up. You land here, just re-enter. Hope you don't get knifed. This very small section with an elevator. It saves one whole frame to enter the elevator as left as possible. So you just enter normally by holding up. Elevator doors open at 15,391. If you do this, bam, 15,390. One whole frame saved. Just do that. This is the top floor. Again, a few different strats you can do here. You can either activate the switch, activate this switch, and then jump in here. Or you can try and activate the left switch only by doing a hitbox extension. You can either do the boxing glove, which is optimal but kind of hard, because you have to box and then again switch to up to actually activate the switch. Something like this, if you actually make it into the vent. But what I like to do is just use the hammer. It's way, way, way easier to do this. And it's the same speed. Again, the only downside is that you're going to be down some mass points, which won't matter when playing optimally. So yeah, just use the hammer. Or just activate the right side switch. You're gonna want to high jump here. You're gonna fall down this corridor thing, this shaft, I guess. You are going to wall spots you want to hammer towards the end. Not so late that you don't cancel the animation. Right around here. You can't really spam the hammer, because if you do that, it like shrinks your hitbox. You don't actually collect the mass tokens that are along the way. Because normally you get 2 mask tokens here to bring yourself up to about 588 or so. But if you're spamming, it doesn't work. So something like that. Okay. So this next section is a little bit tricky. There's a few different strats you can do. It has to do with this prisoner in jail right here. This guy. This guy is really annoying. I call this guy Nanaya, because he's got the knife. One strat you can do is trying to put yourself in the corner, but then sometimes you're going to get hit, which again just depends on some of the finer nuances of your movement. Something like that's kind of ideal. But what I like to do is, this is basically the same speed as that strat. You want to get hit on purpose. So that way you don't get hit in a bad way that actually causes you to lose time, like getting knocked down here, for example. And to do this, you kind of want to do a high jump and then face left and then hold left and kind of get deboosted to the left side. And this strat will work every time. You don't have to worry about him coming out and getting you sometimes. Sometimes he'll do a knife jump, sometimes he won't, depending on your own movement. Yeah, I recommend trying to main this strat. Again, it's basically the same speed as doing something like this. Yeah. Over here's another switch. Again, make sure you're holding up as you high jump into it. And there's this vent. Alright, for these platforms, there's like a try-hard strat you can do. Where you get like a really short jump, but it's very hard. I don't think I'm gonna be able to show it here. Yeah, so you get something like this. This is optimal to make it up here like this, but it's pretty hard. I recommend just going down here and then high jumping over here. Onto the platforms, into the elevator. Again, the platforms are always in the same spot. There's no global cycles or anything like that in this game. don't have to worry about falling. I think this is the checkpoint. This might be the only checkpoint you ever actually reload in the run, depending on how the boss goes. So you can get it if you want. You'll get it normally just by doing natural movement like this. If you're very low on mass points, you can just do a normal jump here, and then do a boxing run to the door. I don't recommend it though. You can save 10 points like that. Okay. And then here there's three different strats. You can just do a high jump here. This will get you 3 mass tokens. Then you enter the vent, which takes you to the next boss. You can do something like this, you get 2 tokens. Either way, you have to bring yourself up to max. It's very important you have max mass tokens for this, mass points. You can sometimes kind of overshoot the vent by doing this though, which is what happens in my PB. But to do it like this saves like maybe 10 frames or so. Or doing it like this. It's a little kind of hard to control your mask while doing this. Like sometimes you're gonna not get the tokens. But if you need like 3 mass token pickups, you do want to do this strat. There we go, something like that. Or you can get the dog, which is important for the 4 dog route. Dog's just in here. If you're like low on HP, or if you really miss the mass point routing, I would just get the dog. Because it'll make the prison boss faster if you don't get the perfectly optimal fight. Yeah. Ideally, you don't get him though. Okay. Now we're into Prison Guy himself. One of the, I would say, easily the hardest boss in the entire run. Because in order to do this boss perfectly, you need to do 2 frame perfect inputs. But there's a lot of different ways to fight this boss. I'm going to show the fight from my very old PB first, the safest strat. And this one requires that you are on the 4 dog route. Again, I don't recommend the 4 dog route at all, but it does help for this guy. So you can do gun, horn. I did say the horn was useless earlier. It's only for this old route to use the horn. It does a good amount of damage and it also just stuns him and pushes him back. So you alternate between the gun and the horn, and you just punch him down. And he's done. Yeah, this is a very old strat. I don't recommend it at all. I just want to show it. If you don't want to worry about going like super fast, you don't have to worry about frame perfect anything. I'm just going to show a very basic strat here. So the unfortunate downside, or just unfortunate thing about this fight in general, is that you can't gun immediately because you're always be close to the wall. You try and gun immediately, he doesn't pull it out, which is really, 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 really annoying. So you do have to move a little bit to the right in order to use the guns. And sometimes he's going to hit you on the second one. A setup to not get hit on the second one, there's a few different things you can do. I like to creep forward a little bit. And that causes the ball and chain to not hit you. Expend all your ammo. And then do a running boxing glove and try and get as many of these uppercuts in as possible. As soon as you have 20 mass points, use the hammer. And just keep punching him until he's done, pretty much. This is the easiest strat for sure. It loses like 10 seconds over the optimal strat. And just creep forward a little bit. And just blast him. Spend all the mass points so you can start getting mass points as soon as possible. You see his HP in the bottom left, of course. Use hammer as soon as it's available. Get as many uppercuts in as possible. And that's how you beat the boss with only 600 gunshots. 600 mass points, yeah, 6 gunshots. But what you really want to do is try and get a double hit on this boss, and the double hit is frame perfect. The way it works is very simple, but executing it is not simple at all. It's just that if you gunshot him on the last possible frame in which you would take damage, you do double damage to the boss. I actually got it right there, funnily enough. So normally the guns do 32 or whatever. In this situation, first it does the normal like 30, 32 or whatever. And then it does double damage. Yeah, I guess it adds the extra 2 points at the end. So the actual gunshot component does 30, and that's doubled. That does double damage. So let me try and show this off here. Slow it down. I use this boxing glove for timing. It's not required. All right. So back to full speed. Execute on frame 962. Normal damage. 963. Normal damage. 964. Normal damage. 965. Normal damage. 966. Double damage. And then, unfortunately, 967. Mask gets hit. You lose 100 mass points. You're down 1 gunshot, and then it becomes very hard to win the fight at all if you are down 1 gunshot. You'll probably, if you're on this route, you're probably going to die. Let's say this happens to you, where your mass points get used. There we go. You're gonna have to do your best to just work in the gunshots, because the fight's all messed up at this point. But you've done so little damage to the boss, and there really is no like safer way to fight this guy than just doing this. Yeah, and the mask doesn't make it. So if you're in like some no reset or race setting or whatever, I recommend not going for the double hits and just doing the safer strat, because again, it's pretty hard to even win the fight at all if a gunshot gets eaten. So do keep that in mind. That's just an unfortunate thing with running this game, is that yeah, to do double damage, it's the very last possible frame. If you're too late, you get hit, you're down gunshot, and it's just really bad. So as far as actually executing this properly goes, in order to end the fight as soon as possible, you need 2 double hits, and with this method, you're going to have usually 5 chances to get a double hit, sometimes 4, depending on what happens. So I like to do this boxing glove for timing. I do a boxing glove, and then while moving forward, of course, because you can't do the guns too close to the wall, and then I just like to do the gunshot. But there's only so much you can do to get consistent a frame perfect trick, right? And also, obviously, I'm doing this whole tutorial on emulator. I'm used to console timing, so the delay's a little bit different. You can kind of tell if you have the double hit depending on the animation of the ball and chain relative to the mask. At least for the first one. You can kind of see here that the ball and chain is behind the mask's head. That's the indicator that you got it. The animation is going to vary a little bit depending on which double hits you get throughout the fight. But if you get this one, and you get the third one, because the second one can't be a double hit unless you intentionally like go like really slowly, which I don't recommend. Gonna mess up his positioning. If you know you have two double hits because you recognize the animations, you just start blasting them and you'll beat the fight as fast as possible. But if you're unsure, I would recommend just going for double hits on every possible opportunity. Yeah, for this one at least you can tell from the animation. But let's say you're too early, right? It's important to note that if the ball and chain can't actually damage the mass, you can't actually double hit, which is why you can't usually get on the second one unless you're very close to him. For my strat, I don't even go for a double hit on the second one. I just use the second one to blast him back. Again, make sure you cancel the animation of the gun and don't get the tornado. Because you kind of want to push him sufficiently back. And then what's going to happen is he's going to walk forward and use the ball and chain. You're going to want to have to react to the animation, try and time the gunshot for the double hit. Also, it's very important, too, that you're canceling the gunshot with down specifically for this. Because if you're moving towards him, his positioning is going to get kind of thrown off. And you're just going to be in a bad spot in general. So definitely cancel the animation of the guns with down here. Or a boxing glove maybe, but just use down. Buffer the down input. But yeah, anyways. Do something like this for the opening. You may or may not get the double hit. Don't get the tornado. Shoot him again. This one can't possibly be a double hit. And then you're going to want to wait for him to start like spinning the ball and chain. That's the visual cue I use to try and go for more double hits. He's going to walk forward and then start spinning. How long he walks forward to is dependent on which gunshot's going to be. Again, it depends on how far you moved forward initially, the timing of your previous gunshots, etc. This fight will vary a little bit. And which will also cause the animation that signifies you got the double hit to also vary a little bit. Because normally you can't see how much HP the boss has, right? We can only see it right now because we're cheating with RAM Watch. Yeah, like as soon as he starts spinning like that is when I like to do the gunshot. I actually got it that one time. Not a double hit. Not a double hit. Too late. Too early. We got it, yeah. That time the ball and chain kind of went like really behind the masthead. It wouldn't always look like that though. Too early. That one you might think was a double hit, but it wasn't. Even though the ball and chain was, again, behind the masthead. Because the animation varies a little bit depending on where in the fight you are, it was not a double hit. The actual double hit will look a little bit different here for this one. That was not it, yeah. Oh, no, that was it, yeah. There we go, that was it. So at this point, if you have two double hits, you just blast them down. You want to fight like that. But if you're unsure, you can keep going for them. The downside, of course, is that you might be too late, and then you risk losing a gunshot in general. If you're really nice at it, you can get 3 double hits, which will end the fight 1 gunshot early. Like that. I don't recommend that, although that is optimal. That would require 3 frame-perfect gunshots. But yeah. Ideally, and this is what happens in my PB, is you just get the first and third gunshots are double hits. That was it? Yeah. That wasn't it. And I got it. Did I? Yeah. No, I didn't. There we go. And you just blast him down like this.
Okay.
If you only get one double hit, it's not too bad. Let's say you just want to play kind of safe. You get something like this. You recognize the animation. You know you double hit him. You can just blast him. You're gonna have a fight like this. He dies pretty quickly. Gets defeated pretty quickly. And each double hit you get saves about 5 seconds. You still get a pretty good time with only one double hit, or even just again no double hits. Yeah, there's not too much else to say. Just watch the animation, the ball and chain. It's going to vary depending on your own reaction times, the monitor setup you have, things like that. Just simply hit the frame and don't go too late, otherwise it gets eaten. Sometimes you have a situation like that where he kind of like walks forward awkwardly. You can't really get a gunshot opportunity on the third one. If that happens, just blast him again. Get a chance for the lineup after. And also, very rarely with this setup, he will attack you before you can actually attack again for the second one. I don't really have a movie of this, though. I don't feel like grinding it out, but just be aware that sometimes for the second one, even if you do everything perfectly, just due to, again, minor variations in gunshot timing and your own movement, he may hit you too quickly on the second one. Alright, I think that covers everything with this guy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, each one of these is a double hit opportunity. If you're too late, it's too bad. But, you know, always try and win the fight in case you got a double hit. What a clutch ending.
Okay.
Yeah, just, again, the animations for the first and third gunshots should be consistent to know if you got a double hit. Otherwise, it's a little bit ambiguous. Maybe you have a better eye than I do, and you can tell. Basically, you know if you got a double hit, if it's like, you use a gunshot, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't get hit by the ball and chain. That's just a good indicator for whether or not you got the double hit or not. Alright, let's watch the tape. This will also be from my PB. My PB makes a mistake at the very end, but it's pretty obvious what the mistake is. It's a pretty good prison stage otherwise, though. Actually, don't get hit by the inmate there. Yeah, right there I overshoot the vent a little bit. But that won't happen to you. Yeah, I get the frame perfects on the first and third gunshots here, so I know I can just start blasting them. I don't even bother going for them on the repeated attempts. Or into the next stage. Alright. Now start. Alright, this is a tough one. This is a gigantic sewer maze level, but fortunately there's a glitch. So you see this exit here? And how I talked about how you can extend your hitbox to activate switches with the boxing glove or the hammer or the anything really. Well, this exit door basically works as a switch, so what you can do is you can just walk forward, use the horn, and completely just beat the stage immediately. You can also do this with the guns if you want, but it's a little bit slower. Looks a little bit cooler, though. I think this loses like 10 frames or something compared to the horn. This is the only use for the horn the entire run, unless you're doing that other route. You do have to move forward a little bit, it won't work by default. Just a small step forward, use the horn, and that's it for the sewers. It's all there is to say. For some reason you fall down, it's very easy to get back up. Or is it? Don't fall all the way down. I don't know what to do. Fall down here though, it's fine. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Okay. Yeah, it's nothing to say. The only way you can save time on this is just by how quickly you use the horn after moving forward. Okay. Final level. I don't have a tape for optimal sewer. Let's assume that was optimal. Alright, so the actual stage, the actual last stage component's not too bad. I'd say this is one of the easier stages in the run. But the boss is going to be... you won't have anything frame perfect like the prison guy, but it's going to be a very complex fight. Yeah, let's cover the stage first. So this stage has a lot of vents. You're going to spend most of your time in vents than not in vents, I think, in this stage. This opening, you can either do a boxing glove run. Make it into this vent. A tornado, I suppose, if you really want. You can simply do a non-boxing glove. But again, there's no real reason not to. What I like to do is a slide, though. Slide in to saves a few frames. Just shift from down to up at the correct time. I kind of just look at the mass tokens in the background, or just like right here. When they come on screen, I shift to up. I don't really talk too much about visual cues in this tutorial because I just feel like it's going to vary depending on person to person. I'm sure you can find something that works for you. Press up to enter the vents. And then over here, you're going to want to make it into this vent. It's two different strats here. You can either just hold left, bounce off the star, then press up to make it into the vent. Or you can hold left and then press up, go directly into it. It's pretty easy to do that strat. This is the optimal strat. Don't be holding L and R for this, just be only holding left. If you mess this up, you're gonna bounce on the star and it kind of sucks. You have to go down underneath this. If you overshoot it, you just bounce up. It's not really a big deal. Like this. Yeah, something like that. Here, I think it saves 2 frames to do a high jump. Go a little bit faster into the vents. But I was so afraid of re-entering this vent, especially because the last level in the run I didn't go for it. You can do this if you want to save like maybe 2 or 3 frames. Otherwise, just press up. Or just jump and then press up. And then here, right here, this is very, very important. Most important thing in the entire run. You want to press right, and then re-enter the vent like this, and this saves like 7 frames. This is how I know if you watch this tutorial all the way until the end or not. It's if you shift over here to the right to re-enter the vent. You can just hold up here, but look what happens if you just hold up. Four, 6, 8. You do this splat here. Whereas if you had faced right on the enter. Look at that. 460. It's like 8 frames saved. This one, it's good. Unlike some of the other vent tricks I've shown, this one is completely free. You just press right and you hold up. Save 8 frames for free. Do not just hold up. If you do, I'll be very, very upset. Press right, hold up, save 8 frames, okay? If you don't do this, I'll know you didn't watch the tutorial all the way to the end. Be very upset. Okay. Or if you like skipped around too much, like I don't need to watch the tutorial for this. No, you do. Otherwise you don't save 8 frames. For this one though, you can just hold up. There's no vent tricks here. Just make sure you're, of course, facing to the right. I will still hold up. Thank you, Krypton. Down to the mask. Okay. Yeah, just hold up there. Here, I recommend a slide. Take into this next elevator. You can do a boxing glove, but sometimes you're gonna get hit by this monkey. Just do a slide here. Master token around doesn't matter at all until the very end of the stage, so you can just spend whatever you want. Yeah, just slide here. This one, I do recommend a boxing glove. Because the monkey isn't going to hit you here. You can slide if you want, though. I don't like the slide here because sometimes you'll do it too early and won't actually get a slide. If you press down. I think a slide could save a few frames, though. Does it? Let's find out. 879 with a slide. Nope, same speed here. Yeah, do whatever you want to enter this event. And then for this one, you must do a slide because otherwise these guys are going to be in your way and they're going to shoot you. If you do something like this, you get shot, re-enter the vent. That's no good. If you do a slide, it knocks them out of the way. So slide, jump, enter the vent. For this, you're going to want to hold upright, do a high jump into this vent. If you run along the ground, you're going to get bopped by something usually. That's a real guy. Oh wow, this guy gives you mass points. Don't worry about him though. Just do that, enter that event. This is the only like really hard room. Well, there's only like 2 hard rooms in this whole stage. Here you have to use a hammer, otherwise you're gonna splat. Ideally, you just run and just do a jump immediately to make it onto this star, the second star you can't see right now. This. It's kind of hard though, so what I normally do is I just like to hit confirm it a little bit, slow down, make it on the star like that. If you hold right too early here, you're gonna get shot, which you kind of saw earlier. That. So wait until you reach the ground, rather than do like an optimal input here. Unless you're really nice not getting shot, won't judge. Okay, so something like this. Hit confirm it if you want. And then this guy up here, if you're just facing left, he might shoot you as you're trying to enter the door. If you just do something like this, you might get shot back down. It's really bad. To avoid that, all you have to do is simply face right, bounce yourself into the corner, and enter the elevator like that. No problemo. Alright, very straightforward. Another vent here. I just recommend a boxing glove for this one. If the slide really does anything. That's it for that. You definitely want to get the mass tokens here. You can enter this elevator from the left. It saved 1 frame. At one point I did this, but then it never saved 1 frame any time after. Let's see, it's 962 if you hold left here. But if you just hold up, I think it's still the same. Yeah. I don't know how I got to save 1 frame that one time. but just hold up here. Or you can hold left, doesn't matter at all. Okay, and this elevator door. There's a dog here. I don't recommend this dog at all. You won't need him, really. You think having more mass points with the final boss would be useful, but it's not. It just takes more time to get this dog, but he's here if you want him. Just box your way, enter this vent. It looks like you have to jump to enter this vent, at least I thought you did. But you can just hold up for this one. Okay. And this is the only second kind of difficult room. Assuming you haven't made a movement mistake anywhere, you won't be hit by anything in this stage with proper movement. Like, this coconut looks kind of threatening, but as long as you don't make a mistake, yeah, you're never gonna get hit, because again, this game has no RNG. You're gonna want to, normal run over here and then break open the floor. You can, if you really want, do something like this. It's a little bit faster, do the fast run, but it's kind of hard, so I don't recommend it, because you might use the hammer on accident. And at this point, you don't want to use too many mass points, because it does kind of matter a little bit. Just do a normal run, break this open. And there's two strats over here. You can either go down here and high jump up, or the optimal, you can land this star, then hold the jump button and then land on the palm tree, and then jump up from here. This is not too hard to do. You're gonna want to kind of like let go of the jump button too, otherwise you're gonna overshoot, and it takes a while to land on the palm tree. Just hold it down for a little bit. If you don't hold the jump button at all, this is what happens. Yeah, you don't make it. Let's do something like this. Jump on this one, and then you're over here. You're gonna have to hammer this floor as well. You'll notice that at this point you'll be at 550 mass points, right? So you're gonna have to grab this token before you just descend. And it's very important you enter the final boss with max mass points, otherwise you're gonna lose a little bit of time. Just do that. If you made a mistake, you can grab any of these tokens. Obviously after you do the hammer though. And then you're ready for the final boss. The final boss is extremely complex. Use some hammers as you fall down here. You can do a boxing run to enter the fight in order to keep yourself at max mass points. Sometimes you might mess it up though and enter at 599. If that happens, I have a setup where it doesn't really matter because you're going to be able to get a note from this guy at the very start of the fight. If you're worried about this though, you can just enter it like this, but then your position is going to be a little bit different, and the setup I'm going to recommend for the opening isn't going to work properly. And also it's just slower to do this, because you can see right here the mask is like kind of far away from the Coca Bongo symbol. Whereas if you run into it, you're a lot closer to it. So I just recommend just running into it, and if you make a mistake with the boxing or whatever, enter at 599, it's not a big deal to fix. Don't slide in. There's also a way to skip the animation, which is what the TAS does, but it's not worth it. Show that off, I guess. This is possible RTA. How does this work? Do something like this. It's pointless though, because you have to wait for him to be vulnerable anyways. The TAS does this because it's able to collect mass points while it's waiting around, which is a little bit faster. But just don't do this. Just be aware it's something that's possible. Anyways, don't worry about that. Just do this. Alright, so Payback Guy. You can see there, Payback Guy has 910 HP, which is a lot. It's a lot of hit points. Been keeping an eye on the hit points of some of the other bosses. You'll realize just how much this is. It's so many hit points that even if you just use all your gunshots immediately, you're going to come nowhere close to taking out the boss. But fortunately, you can do double damage to the boss, and it's not frame perfect like it is on Prison Guy. And also, you can see that little note there, right? This guy with the instrument. If you this will give you mask points back, 25 per instance. So what's going to happen is you're going to be attacking the boss with the guns and getting your mass points back. But anyways, this fight is incredibly complex, and I'm just going to show you one possible method of doing it. What's probably going to happen is you're going to find your own method of doing this final boss fight that speaks to you. Because there's a lot of different ways you can open the fight, proceed with the fight, in terms of how you get the double hits, and in terms of how you get the no collection, where you position them, and how you get the stuck glitch, which will show off very soon here. So you don't have to copy this exactly. If you find a better, faster, easier method that works for you, feel free. Okay? Yeah, let me cover the basics of the fight first. So yeah, if you're just shooting this guy normally, you just do the standard damage, right? But if you're like kind of inside the boss, like this, you'll do double damage. You can see here, it's from 910 to 848. Whereas if you're not inside the boss, you just do a normal amount. This boss has some attacks. The only attack you're ever going to see normally is this hand attack. But he also has his iconic payback attack, which is the global attack to anywhere on the screen, even over here. If he ever uses it.
Payback.
Yeah, payback. And he has this like range attack he uses, but ideally you never see any of these attacks, okay? Because as you kind of saw here, there is a glitch, or an oversight, a bug, whatever you want to call it, where if you're just inside the boss will walk back and forth forever. It will never actually attack you. You will break him out of it. What's happened there? Okay, press tornado, but I must have.
Payback.
If you like attack him, he like breaks out of it sometimes. If you're too far left, too far right, he breaks out of it. Also, this guy gets you your HP back. Again, you shouldn't need this. Even in the event of like you mess everything up, you should never need to get your HP back. All you need to worry about is this guy. Getting this guy stuck and properly doing double hits while properly collecting the notes. Alright, I think that covers all the basics of the fight. Oh yeah, one other thing too. You're not going to see this optimally. Let's say you mess everything up, you're out of mass points, your mass is about to perish in battle or whatever. The easiest way on Earth to win this fight is to simply alternate between the slides. This is how I beat the boss casually. It does 3 damage per instance, as I showed at the very start of the tutorial. This is a completely safe method of beating the boss. I guess until he gets over here, though.
Payback.
But, yeah, if you really mess things up, you can very slowly whittle this boss down by doing this, but I don't recommend it. Alright. That basically covers everything, though. Okay. Now for the actual fight itself and getting a proper fight. Actually, yeah, let's say, well, again, it doesn't matter if you enter 599 in my setup.
Payback.
So, for the opening, a few different ways to do this. You can just run over here and blast him to the right. And again, you kind of have to be a little bit inside the boss in order to get this double hit. And you have to be careful not to get the tornado. Blast him around here. And then try and collect double notes. You can try and fix your positioning too if you make a mistake like I just did with the slide. And then you're going to collect tokens, or notes I guess, and keep blasting them, right? The setup I like to do is, though, I like to creep forward here a little bit, Because if you act too quickly sometimes, he's going to use his hand off the bat. And also, where your mask starts is going to be a little bit different depending on how exactly you entered it. As I showed it off earlier, you're not always going to be on this exact pixel. Sometimes you could be a little bit further back.
Payback.
Well, I'm always getting the same one here.
Payback.
Could be like over here or whatever. But if you open with a small creep, he's never going to attack initially. What I like to do is I like to collect this first token, even if I'm at max mass points, because if you make a mistake entering the fight or if something went wrong in the stage, you're able to get your points up to full and it doesn't cost any time with the setup. So that's what I like to do. The oscillation of the note will always be in the same spot, assuming you enter the fight at the same time. If you like mess around up here a little bit, the note will be in a different spot, so keep that in mind. Like you won't be able to collect it here. But as long as you enter properly, always be in the same spot.
Payback.
So I like to do this, land over here. Don't do that. If that happens, it's bad. And I like to trigger his hand off the bat. So the way his hand works is, if you're like too close to him, then he operates his hand, or if you take too long to attack him, he'll use his hand. Like here, he's gonna use the hand because I was deeply inside the boss. I like to trigger it initially, and just walk forward, and then he doesn't use his hand for the second and third gunshots. And then blast him right over here. And you can see right there, if you're paying close attention, I actually got 2 notes there, right? So there's another glitch in this game, the double note glitch, where you're able to get a second note while collecting a note. But it's just, it's not like you're duplicating the notes. It's a note that went off screen is able to be recollected when you're collecting the next note in the chain. I'm not exactly sure why this works. I'll try and show it off properly here. It seems to depend on the timing which you actually collect the notes. So right here was just a single, right? Because the timing was a little bit off. But here it was a double. Again, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but you'll get a good sense of it by doing this fight a lot, and I'm sure you will be doing this fight a lot. This fight's incredibly complex. There I was still able to pick up 2 notes. Again, it was just a note that went off screen before it was able to be recollected. Yeah, I like to open like this. And ideally you get the double note here. If you don't get it, it's not a big deal. And then you can see here, I'm getting attacked is sometimes a little bit too far left or too far right. It is important you put the boss in the right spot here, because getting the boss stuck is the most important part about the fight. But anyway, if you want to do something like this, get the note, shoot him here, get this note. I kind of messed this up. Let's restart it. There. Only got a single there, but it's okay. I do have a tape of a really good fight I'll show after this. And there's many different ways this fight can go. Despite the fact there's no RNG. Blast him here, get this note. Did everything correctly. It should be at 538. That means you got all double hits if you're playing this game with RAM Watch, learning the game on emulator, things like that. It's very useful to have RAM Watch open to look at the boss's HP, because sometimes it can be kind of ambiguous whether or not you're going to get a double hit when you're trying to move quickly. If you want to play it very safe, you just like walk, wait for it to turn around, and it's almost always a double hit. If you're first starting out, I would recommend this, actually. The problem with this is it's kind of hard to collect notes properly. Just kind of have to wait it out. Well, yeah, solo walks like these are pretty much guaranteed double hits. Because if you do something like this, for example, that's way too far. No double hit. Or if you get this weird thing where like you're too deeply inside of him, you blast in the wrong way. That's not a double hit, right? Oh no, it was a double hit. Yeah, the slower you move, the easier it is to kind of train yourself to get double hits. But optimally, you want to be doing an R run, because this will enable you to collect the notes as you're fighting. You do something like this. I'm accidentally showing the optimal method here. You kind of want to blast them and then move fast enough that you can pluck the note after, like this. And if you're moving slowly by just walking, it's not going to be good. Anyways, let's go back to the good opening here. So yeah, he used his hand there because I was too close. I only got one note there. I barely mistimed the jump, so I didn't get the double note. But timed properly, do get the double note. Ugh. Whatever. Get the idea behind the opening. Blast him here, get this note. And then ideally, this one is also a double note. Again, it just depends on proper timing of when you jump. And also, I think your positioning. There we go. They didn't get it there, but don't worry about it. So, you can just sit here and farm up all the notes all at once. If you're first starting out, I do recommend that. You'll do something like this. All the way up to 600. And you're doing this like a safe strat, you do something like this, right? And just make sure you try and get as many double hits as possible. And if you breaks out of the position, just use the slide to fix it. Get him stuck. So you just jump around inside of him when he's somewhat close to the thing. This is not a good fix. Yeah, somewhere around here. But what you're going to notice, obviously, is that it's very hard to act precisely in this fight, right? And getting him stuck properly can be kind of tricky.
Payback.
That's a missed double hit. So something to keep in mind about the fight is when you do the two gunshots, you can kind of fix his position to be closer to the instrument guy, depending on how you choose to shoot him. Which is the direction in which you do the first gunshot is the direction he'll end up getting further pushed. And what I mean by that is, let's say you want to push him to the right. You would do something like this, and then do something like this. And then he'll end up a little bit further right, if done properly. Oh, I have gunshots. Actually, no. What I'm trying to say is, no, that's correct, yeah. Whichever way you want to push him, it's whichever way you start from, yeah. Now he's like a little bit further to the left, right? So if you want to push him further to the left, you start with the first gunshot on the left. If you want to push him further to the right, you start with the gunshot on the right. And this is useful for fixing positioning so he's closer to the instrument guy and things like that, so... This is pretty good. But if you like keep doing it the same way each time, you might break out of it. Because it's just going to keep going like a little bit further right each time, right? Now it's really hard to collect the mass notes without getting punched. So fix his positioning by blasting him either on the right side or the left side to get him closer to the center of the instrument guy. Well, basically what I'm trying to say here. Oh yeah. So the safest strategy is to collect all the notes at once, and it's to alternate blasts. This also makes it kind of hard to fix his positioning too, though. But ideally what you're going to do is as soon as you get 200 mass points, you're just going to want to blast him then. And why you want to do this is because it makes it easier to collect the notes, which makes the fight faster, of course. Because pretty much the only thing that matters for this fight is how you're able to efficiently collect notes and how many double hits you get. Ideally, you get all 15 double hits to take this boss out as soon as possible. Do something like this. Now it's like, okay, he's kind of far left, right? So I kind of want to push him to the right. Do something like this. Okay, now he's like kind of too far to the right, so I'm going to push him to the left. Do something like this while collecting notes. And you can't just alternate this until you win the game. See here, he only needs one more gunshot, right? You can win the fight like that. So that's basically the premise of the fight. However, if you want to go even faster, you're going to want to try and use the gunshot while also picking up the notes. I call these cheater notes. In order to do that, you're going to want to time the gunshot on the cycle of the note while also making sure you're in the right cycle of the final boss, moving back and forth in order to not get attacked and also get the double hits. So like right here, I missed it. I think in this situation, I think it's easier to do it from the left. Not really set up for it. It's impossible. Maybe I'm just right on it, actually. Yeah, there we go. So that's kind of ideal, is every time you shoot him, once you're close to 200. Oh, another reason we want to blast him, too, as soon as you get all the notes, is you're going to gradually regain mass points when you're under 50, right? Like we talked about earlier. So you can kind of save getting one note if you keep blasting him as soon as possible sometimes, depending on how the fight goes, just due to the natural accumulation of mass notes. So that'd be kind of good too. But it's better to kind of like wait here and not fire immediately at 200. If it juices you better to get these notes like this. You can even sometimes get 2 notes if you time it really good. See, that looked really good, but it wasn't a double hit. It went from 319 to 288, even though I got 2 notes. So you just want to do your best to make sure he's in the right positioning, while ideally positioning your mask in such a way that he's like over the note, so he picks it up, while also timing it correctly to pick up the note while you fire the guns, which is a much easier said than done. I think right here I'm just on the guy again. Oh, I messed it up. It's okay though. Oh yeah, so in this situation, let's say you don't know how many double hits you have, or you feel like you missed one, right? If you have over 120 mass points or so, if you're close to getting 20 mass points, you can end the fight like this, or you do a boxing glove and a hammer. It's pretty fast to finish them off like this. This is a one miss double hit fight. Or if you feel like you missed a lot of double hits, just simply farm up and just do 2 more gunshots or 1 extra gunshot. Things like that. Yeah, in this situation, we've only missed 1. Something like that. Ideally, you won't have to do this, though. Again, if you've really messed up, too, you end up missing a lot more double hits than you thought. He's close to dead. Simply do this. You'll win eventually. And yeah, that basically covers the basics of Payback Guy. Now I'm going to show 2 different fights. I'm going to show the fight from my PB, and I'm going to show a very, very optimal fight. I call it God Payback Guy. I guess I'll also show the stage as well. Here's the sewer. I do end up getting a pretty good stage in my PB. I guess this tutorial went on for pretty long, but it is very thorough, so. And we're base right here, very important. Onto the star. Yeah, this tutorial came out pretty good, honestly. We're wrapping it up here. So this was a pretty good fight in my PB. It took me a long, long time to get a fight this good, I should add it. I lost many, many runs to just messing up some small component of this fight. So I can see here I open with a double-double. The 2 double notes here. Just with good timing and positioning. To collect the off-screen note while I'm collecting the normal note. Now here I'm trying to juice the cycle so that I'm able to, fire the gun while picking up a note. I don't succeed every time. But that's at least what I'm trying to go for. Like there, I just don't have the right positioning. There, I do succeed though. And again, you can pick up 2 notes at once. You simply blast them, that's it. So that's a fight with all double hits. And I think it was, what, 2 guns on notes. Timing stops when the mass starts moving. I guess I can point out the frame there. Timing stops right here, pretty much. Back to the emulator real quick. You got me. It doesn't really matter where you are, but the fastest way to actually get to the credits is to place the mask over here. Because he has to slide, basically slides all the way to that point before he goes back to the left. So if you want good J timing, place him all the way to the right. Do some funny stuff here. We can play some here, for example. He goes through the floor. It doesn't really matter, though, because, again, timing stops when he starts moving. Just keep that in mind. And yeah, don't try and lag the game. Could lose 1 or 2 frames. Alright. Anyways, yeah, just cover that real quick. And now I'm going to show you a very good fight. This isn't quite as fast as you can go, because, again, I'm doing a kind of a safe opening to make sure he doesn't use his hand inadvertently.
Payback.
But this is, pretty close to a god payback guy with my strats. So we do this, safe-ish opening, we get the double note. Blast him here, do this. So you get the double-double opening. Blast him, get 2 notes here. And then I don't collect that note because I get a double note here because I'm able to collect the off-screen note while getting the other one. I get double notes there. Or rather, I get 2 gun-on notes followed by the double note. And again, I'm fixing his positioning, right, by attacking in the right spot. Get an unnecessary double note there, and he's already taken out. So that's a really, 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 really good payback guy. That would save, I think, about 2 seconds over the payback guy in my PB. Yeah, it's just about how many notes you're able to get while using the gunshot. Yeah, this is a very complex fight, and you're probably not going to end up doing it the way I showed, but hopefully I showed enough examples and showed enough basics of the fight that you can construct your own method of doing the fight. And able to beat it optimally. Again, there's nothing frame perfect about the boss. Oh, one thing I should mention, though, that I didn't really, in terms of actually getting double hits consistently, that helped me out a lot when I was first learning, is you want to kind of do a small delay. Don't do that. So if you mess up the opening, he's going to use his hand like that, even if you're far away. Which is why you want to trigger the hand early. Let's just get him stuck like right here, for example. Don't worry too much about the optimal opening. If you're like rushing this too much, you might not get the double hit. Sometimes you will. But you don't want to, like, go too fast. Because you kind of have to wait on the note anyways, right? So in order to play it safe to actually get double hits consistently, you kind of want to wait a little bit on the gunshot. Just a little bit, a small delay. Like that. Like, if he turns around, you're basically guaranteed to get the double hit. Whereas if you're rushing it a little bit, like this... I don't think that one was a double hit. Nah, it wasn't, yeah. So if you rush it like that, you might not get it. So definitely do that small delay. That tripped me up a lot when I was getting back into this game. Just do like a small delay on the gunshot and make sure you're sufficiently close to him. Alright, now I think I covered everything, though. Is there anything else about this fight? And yeah, if you mess up the position, you can kind of slide to fix it a little bit. Blast in the correct direction, try and use the gun on the notes. Try and pick up the notes between blasting him, ideally. Double notes requires good positioning and timing. It's kind of hard to explain why it happens. That's really good if that happens. You can also pick up the note like that too, instead of going for a double note. If you get 2 gun-on notes. Yeah, pretty complex fight. One of the most complex fights I've ever experienced in a 2D platformer speedrun. If you practice it a lot, you'll get it down. No worries. Okay, but I think that covers it for real. Yeah, I showed the god fight, showed my PB, and yeah. I guess I could show the ending to the game real quick. Now that mask is fast. Dance with this actress, whoever she may be. Yeah, I've never actually watched the movie. You get to the credits here. There's no music in the credits for whatever reason. You can mash to skip the credits. After a little bit, you can just press start. And you can go right into a new run after that if you so choose. Get the developers here. As far as I'm aware, if you do a run directly after completing a run, it doesn't change anything. I call these New Game Plus runs, but they're exactly the same. Just keep that in mind. The game loops into itself like that. All right, one more thing I want to show. Let me show the TAS real quick. So the TAS is over a full minute faster than the RTA run. You may be wondering why that is. And a large part of it is how it does the boss fights, specifically Payback Guy in general. Yeah, here's the TAS. I did local record the TAS with inputs shown. I might link that somewhere. So, ignoring how ridiculous this is, right? A big reason why this is so fast is that it's able to do something called triple hits. And the way that works is you do a slide and then you immediately do a gunshot. And that causes you to do triple damage with the gun instead of just double damage. Yeah, that's the TAS. That's used on the final boss and also the level 2 boss. I do recommend watching the TAS, of course. It's pretty good. Look how fast the boss gets defeated here. In a TAS setting. And you're wondering how difficult is it to do this, right? And the answer is very difficult. So I do have one final movie to show here. Which is, this is my own inputs. Replicating a triple hit here on the crane. So I do something like this. I only need one gunshot instead of 2 gunshots. So going through this frame by frame, the way it works is you have to go into a slide, and you can only press down for either 1 or 2 frames. So look at the input display on BizHawk right here next to the life counter. This is the first down input. No, this is the first down input. The D, second down input, and then you have to immediately go to up. And it's very difficult to only press down for 1 or 2 frames and then immediately go to up on a Super Nintendo controller. This would be a little bit easier on keyboard, but that's I mean, I won't judge too harshly, but I plan this tutorial around using a Super Nintendo controller, not any other input device. But you have to press down for either 1 or 2 frames and then press up to go into the guns. And then this will give you a triple hit. You can actually see it there, the boss's HP, right? Goes from 97 all the way down to 7 for a triple damage gunshot. Allowing to use the hammer to finish it off. Maybe you can find some way to make this consistent on a Super Nintendo controller, but I doubt it. I really hope not, because that would change the run a lot. To introduce triple hits into the crane boss, level 2 boss, or maybe even the final boss. You can't do it on any of the other bosses as far as I'm aware. Just those 3 I mentioned. But yeah, that's how that works, and while it'll probably never be possible for a human. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, one last thing that doesn't matter at all, but I must show it before I conclude this tutorial. So normally, when you start the game, just playing the game normally, right? Let's say you don't choose to mash on the map screen. It will take you into the next level eventually. This is with no inputs, right? Just takes you in. Choose not to mash. But if you have the cheat menu open, turn on level select, the game will not automatically advance you to the next level. So you can sit here on the map screen for as long as you want. I point this out because the map screen music is actually a huge jam. It's one of the best songs in the game. I don't know why it wasn't used for the credits music. You can sit here and appreciate the music if you so choose, activating level select and sitting here. But I do believe that is it. Man. No more math tutorial, just a short 3-hour tutorial on the mask. Now, it's very thoroughly detailed. I think I covered pretty much everything and didn't leave anything out. I covered beginner strats, advanced strats, covered all the movements, all the different attacks. Everything you could possibly know about this run, I think, has now been covered. If I missed anything, I'd be very surprised. But better to have too much information than not enough information, I suppose. Hopefully you found some use for this. And you're able to get whatever time you want running the mask, whether it's just a sub 7, complete the game at all, like in a marathon or a race setting, or maybe even like a sub 6:30 or something. My sub best for this game is a 6:31 currently, but again, I don't really go for absolutely everything. You can definitely get sub 6:35. Sub 6:30 would be pretty tough, but probably possible. Yeah, hopefully you use this to find new strats or do whatever you want with it. Thank you for watching, and that concludes the mask tutorial. Nothing else to say. Game has no RNG. Just do runs, be good. Hit the frame perfects on prison guy, have a good payback guy fight. Hit the animation skip on level 2 boss. It's easy. It's easy. And that's all. Thank you for enjoying the mask, and until next experience tutorial. Guess that's it. Yep, the music loops. That's all. Cut it here. Cut it here.